Yo, we are back with another video, and today we are officially on the road to WrestleMania. Roman wins the men's rumble. Liv wins the women's rumble. And is this really the official retirement of AJ Styles? We got to talk about it. All this and more coming up next, right in the ropes. Let's go.
Yo, what is up, YouTube? We are back with a banger episode. Plenty to cover, plenty to go over. For your Rumble, we're just gonna dive right in. This is Right in the Ropes. I am your host, Trav, here with my co-host, Win. And my boy. It's a lot to unpack.
Yes, bro.
Obviously, we'll start with the Rumble. We got
Okay. Which
Liv.
Rumble?
We'll start with the women. We'll start with the women. We got Liv, and honestly, I think the women's match itself was the better of the two Rumbles. Obviously, not best match of the night, but it was better of the two. And
absolutely.
The choice to give Liv the win, I think, was ultimately the correct one. I've gave my thoughts on what I think they should do with the Judgment Day. Obviously, what I thought was going to happen last night on Raw didn't happen to what I told you initially after Liv won the Rumble.
Give me a refresher on that. You said she was going to do what?
I remember I said after Liv won, I said I think this pretty much gives Raquel the win.
Yes.
In the match last night. I didn't want to dive too much because I knew we were going to talk about it later. But I thought Raquel was going to win last night, and it was going to lead to Liv ultimately choosing to face Raquel at Mania, kind of lead to a little dissension in the Judgment Day. But obviously didn't happen. Obviously, my pick didn't show up. Why? Don't know. At this point, don't know when he's going to come back.
You know, it's funny. We talked about, immediately after the show, we talked about, the Rumble in general. I agree with you. Like, I think out of the two Rumbles, the women's Rumble was the better of the two. I loved the women's Rumble. However, outside of Brie making her return, there wasn't really anything to, like, shocking. Like, oh, this person came back. Like, we talked about, we wanted Bianca. I hope she's good. I don't know what's going on. Don't know what's going on with that.
Weirdest finger injury I've ever heard at this point.
So, we both thought she may make an appearance and possibly win it if she did show up. She didn't make an appearance, so obviously she didn't win. And then AJ, I can kind of understand her not being there because of where they were at. In Saudi. I don't know how she feels about being over there. I don't know what her relationship is over there, so maybe that could be part of it.
Just because Punk goes over doesn't necessarily mean she's gonna.
Yes, yeah.
Ultimately.
Right. I don't know how she feels about it, but she wasn't there. So we were expecting, if not one, both of them to make an appearance. So it was kind of shocking not seeing either one make an appearance, but other than that, the match was fantastic.
Will say we were excited to see Brie come back.
Yeah,
I said we both popped. Sure. I'm not gonna lie, we both popped pretty hard when Brie came back.
I was like, Brie, let's go. Is it for real? Is it for real?
Yeah, the viewers watching this are gonna be like, these guys don't do nothing but shit on Nikki.
Yeah, but we fucks with Brie. Yeah, we fucks with Brie.
And I even told you this. I'm like, the man who constantly shits on Nikki is going to get on here and be excited about the Bella twins because I think it's perfect for what they. I've been telling you this. That's like the role. Even if Brie didn't come back, told you Nick Carl.
Yeah,
place
absolutely.
You want Nikki Bella at.
So and, they talked about it last night on Raw. But that's where they're gonna be. They're gonna try and go after the tag team championships and kind of run that. But that helps strengthen the division even more.
Exactly.
That's where they need to be.
You got a legit tag team in there. That always helps. But yes, overall, women's Rumble I thought was fantastic. And can we before we move on, just a little tip. We have to talk about Soul.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking you were gonna say Lash because they both put on
Yeah,
fantastic
I mean, yeah, we could
performances,
talk
bro.
about both because they both were
Because
very
Soul was
impressive in
Soul
very
was
different
great.
ways in the match.
Yeah, bro. I love Soul. I told you that when I saw her at Saturday Night's Main Event a couple months back.
You loved her.
I was blown away then. And then at seeing her performance at Rumble, I was blown away even more. I'm like, you know, the first time I saw her, I'm like, call her up, call her up, call her up. Now I'm even more like, call her up, call her up, call her up. We're sitting there watching her do the moves and all this stuff. You know, we look at her ring gear and how she presents herself. She reminds you of a Jeff. She reminds you, like, even some of her moveset reminds you of HBK. Like, I even gave you the example. I'm like, she's a Jeff Hardy HBK hybrid. She's a female version of both of those superstars. She fuses those like together very well. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, man. Like, just I wanted to touch on Soul simply from like an awe perspective from it because it's like some of the things that she pulls out in the ring, like you can just tell that she is like don't get me wrong, the athleticism of every woman in the ring is high, but like you can tell she's like another level above that.
Yeah,
And that it's crazy because you have two very young up and comers who can just fly around the ring, really. But just Javon obviously on the men's side, and you have Soul on the women's side. I am glad they did go with what I told while we were watching. They ended up having her do what I said they should have her
yeah,
do in the
yeah.
match,
With the
which was I
finisher
told
and
you they
then
should have her eliminate JC Jane and have that lead to Soul should then win the championship from JC Jane. And that looks to be the direction with their eliminating. But yes, we can also talk about Lash because those two I think were the two big brightest spots of the
yes,
Rumble. I'm glad they gave both of them, and even Jordan Grace, even though she wasn't in as long, but they're giving the women
Kalani Jordan,
that are just coming up, they're giving them that spotlight to thrust them to actually be a main event caliber, not somebody that's just gonna get called up and lost in the shuffle.
right? But I mean, you know, that's we'll move on. But you know, that's a lot of it's the booking and the writing. Like I feel like for the women's division and for the women, it's a lot stronger in
It
certain
is.
aspects than the men's, bro. And because it's almost like it almost seems like they could just bring up the women and they don't get lost. There's always something for them to do,
Exactly.
whether they be in a tag team, whether they be in a stable, whether they be going for the mid card titles, whether they be going for the women's world championship, whether they're just doing a petty back and forth. You know, they're always doing something though. I feel like with the men, it's not as much for them to do, and that it's not because there's nothing available, it's because we're not writing. We're not using our brains. Our creative willpower is none.
It's so crazy too, because it's like, how can you write so well for one gender and just so terribly for the other one? Like, does none of that creativity flow over?
Yeah.
But
Right.
I digress. We won't get into that right now. Okay,
So
his
let's talk
flower,
about
his
the
flowers.
men's
So
rumble. So if we're talking about the men's rumble, what do we got to take away from that? You know, obviously Oba is going to be the top dog here in the next few years, bro. He's undeniable, bro. Immediately you see him on screen, it's just like, damn. You heard the arena, it's just like, damn. You see his
I
presence, you see what he can do in the ring, it's just like, damn. Damn, damn, damn. Check, check, check. Green, green, green. He checks all the boxes, bro.
from the jump. Like, I don't know if you remember, you had stepped away, right? You were like, let you know who comes in one. You knew, Brown was two. And you came back and you seen Ova. You literally thought the match had started and they were just letting Ova do the entrance. And I'm like, no, he's one, bro. And you heard the crowd going. And then what did I tell right after that? What did I tell you? Star. I'm
Immediately.
they didn't have to they literally didn't have to show anything else. Just off of the presentation down to the ring, you know he was gonna be a star. That's instantly what I got. I'm like, yeah, he's gonna be fine. And then they have
Yeah, I
him
think, what he had, 5 eliminations?
the first five.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had the
Yeah,
most
no,
too.
yeah, well, yeah, he had the first fight, but he also
It
had the
was
I
literally
think
a
he tied.
one-on-one match in the Royal Rumble until pick 7.
Yeah, because that man Oba was that dominant, bro.
And
I was like, bro,
I mean, speaking on Oba, the one thing I will take away is why did we have Lesnar eliminate Oba and not the reverse?
I couldn't tell you. You know, I think we talked about this last week. I think it would have been better to do. You have Oba eliminate Brock, and then you kind of have you build to their match at Mania and let Oba go over. But I don't know if they're gonna do that now. They might.
Yeah,
They should.
I think
They
they,
had the. I think they didn't. They have the face to face in
yeah,
the ring.
they had
Yeah,
the
yeah.
face to
So I
face. They
think they
had,
probably will.
and they even had the spot where Oba clotheslined Lesnar. So
Yeah, so I think they'll revisit it for sure. I don't think they're just not gonna touch it, but
I just hope they better have Oba go over. That's the only right decision, and if that's the match for both of them, I mean, you definitely
yeah,
have them go over.
they can't mess Oba's momentum up, you know, because he's just now start. So it's like, and you know, I talked about this with you, you know, during the event. What does it benefit Brock Lesnar to beat anyone on the roster? Take your pick, any name. It benefits him none, absolutely zero,
He's
to beat
cemented.
anyone. So it's like, why not have him lose? If you're trying to put people over, especially as established as he is, you can use him almost like you use Cena towards the end. Use him to build up other, you know, your young guys. So you take Oba, you let him beat Brock, and then you let another young guy beat Brock, or whoever you are trying to push, like Gunther, let him beat Brock. But it benefits Brock nothing to beat anybody.
Well, Gunther is going to beat Brock. It's just going to be when Brock decides to retire.
Right, right. Career
Or maybe
killer.
not
That's what they
retire,
call
just
him.
not wrestle anymore. But obviously, from there, I think the next biggest thing from the Rumble is that match wasn't really that good. Like the production of the Royal Rumble match, I felt was clunky. Some of the eliminations made no sense. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it. I'm not, and I told you this after it happened. Wasn't the worst Rumble I've ever seen, but it's far from the best.
Motherfucker, you was like, no, I mean, I'm pretty lit. Don't sit here and tell that
No,
lie. I sat up
No,
here and
I
said
said
that
I
shit. I
I
was
said
like,
the
bro, this
event
shit.
was lit. I'm lit from the whole event, not the match. The match was good. It was cool and it was entertaining. So don't try to say I was lying about nothing. The whole event together though was lit.
All right. I'll let that one go. All right, you got it,
You ain't got a
all right.
choice.
Like you said, bro, the match itself, like you said, it was a decent match. It wasn't out of the two rumbles. You know, the women's match was the best. It was
Well, even like
hands down the best.
I told you yesterday or whenever it was, Charlotte Flair lasted longer in the women's match than the men's match itself.
Yeah, that tells you something.
And
That tells you something.
and it's just crazy. I don't know what happened. I don't know if I can't imagine Saudi was at a point to cut them off. I do know it went late into the night, out there. I heard it didn't
Yeah,
start till
of
like 10
course.
o'clock or something out in Saudi. So it went
It
into
was
the
like
early,
2 o'clock in the morning when it ended.
yeah.
Over there,
So,
it was like 2 o'clock in the morning when it ended.
yeah,
Yeah. I was like, damn.
you know,
Damn.
Roman, before we get to Roman winning, can we just touch on what happened to Braun?
But yeah, at the
I don't want
beginning,
to blow past this because I did put it out there that
yeah,
Braun was
obviously
my
that
lock,
was the pick. Yeah. Yeah.
and I
It's
think I
like,
get a
damn, that shit
mulligan.
got shot out the water. It got shot out the water immediately. And we
I
were
think
both
I
like,
get a
what?
mulligan because that's like, yeah, like we seen, the new or potentially the same masked man show up and he put him in and he was literally in the mat, he threw him, stomped him. There's theories out there, no pun intended, that it's theory, but the way that he stomped him seemed different than how theory would, unless, theory is that good at the stomp that he can make it look different.
Which he could be. He's very
Yeah,
talented. He
very,
definitely could be.
very well could be, but it didn't. I don't know. He seemed a little. I don't know. He didn't seem as tall as Theory to
It
me.
didn't seem as stocky.
Yeah,
Seemed a little lankier.
and like obviously, I told you immediately. I'm like, well, I pretty much that pretty much confirms Seth's gotta be,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
He's gotta be like
Yep.
right around
You
the
know,
corner, if not already, right?
we talked about that last week too. Like, if Seth is ready to go, by the time Mania comes around, you could start seeing dissension within the group, or you could start seeing little seeds being planted of Theory possibly not being, but that was the first step.
And I won't get too much into it, but we seen that yesterday on Raw. We'll talk about it when we get to it, but we seen that yesterday on Raw.
Yep. Yep. So I think it's gonna be interesting, bro.
But yeah, so I think that's the direction you're going with Braun now. And then obviously we have
Yeah,
Roman.
he's
We have Roman winning.
yeah. I think with as far as Braun, last thing as it pertains to him, I think going forward, his storyline is to do with the masked man and trying to unveil who that is and trying to figure out why he's getting screwed now from that masked man. And, is blame getting deflected towards Theory, or is Theory like deflecting blame to other people in the group that have nothing to do with all that stuff, is probably how it's going to play out. And then so I don't expect him near the world title for a good amount of time. And then as
No,
far as Roman winning, you call that was your initial pick. But as far as Roman winning out, I your reasoning for it, it doesn't surprise me, because when you think back to your reasoning for it, it's like, okay, it makes sense. The major players in WWE all have multiple Rumble wins, and Roman was the only one on out of the major stars that didn't have multiple Rumble wins. He only had the one. So it was like, okay, you got to give it to him, right? So, it didn't surprise me, but I wouldn't say I'm disappointed, but I'm underwhelmed, right? Like, I feel
I would
like, again, I could have been more satisfied if I got an LA Knight win, or if I got somebody else that, hasn't been in that spotlight already. If Oba won, I would have felt more fulfilled, more satisfied. But, I'm not mad at Roman winning. I'm not. I'd be lying if I said I was. And the fact that we're getting Roman Punk, I'm not mad at that either.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm definitely not mad at it. Part of the reason I switched off of Roman is because I'm like, you don't need Roman. If you want Roman in a title match at Mania, you don't need to give him the Rumble to do
The
that.
Rumble win.
You can just have Roman show up and say he
I mean,
wants
he
a
could have
title
just did
match.
this. He could have did the same thing. What did Punk say last night in the promo? He's like, "Yo, I'm not gonna lie. You are a top guy. You've earned the right to just show up whenever you want to show up. So I'm not mad at you." It's like, I mean, that's Roman, bro. He could just show up. He could assault somebody, take somebody out of a championship. He ain't even got to do that. He could just say, "Hey, acknowledge me. Give me my match." And somebody's going to just give him some
And
match.
magically it's
So it's
gonna
not
happen.
like, yeah, right. So it's not like they couldn't have done that. So to your point, they could have. That's
So,
how I
but
thought they would do it.
I just thought you could give that to the upping somebody to help them, and I felt like it would have done more. Obviously, we both know it would have done more for Braun than Roman in that. But looking back on it, with it being in Saudi, we should have seen it.
I want to touch on AJ and
No,
Gunther
I'm saying in the men's Rumble match.
in the match. No, not really.
I was gonna say
We
then we
touched on
can just
Oba's dominance. We touched on, I mean, that was really the only big takeaway from the men's rumble, to be honest, was Oba going crazy and Roman winning the whole thing. I mean, the match, like, and Braun getting screwed. Yeah. I mean, but the rest of it there was no surprise entrance. I mean, LA Knight came back, if you want to consider that a surprise
I
entrant,
don't
but
consider that
we
a
kind of
surprise. I knew he
assumed that.
was gonna come back.
Yeah. I knew he was coming back. So, no, I'm good. We can move on.
So yeah, next we can transition into Gunther agent.
You mean the match of the night? You mean the
Yeah,
match of the weekend? And match of the year contender. Could
thank
be.
you,
It could
thank
be an
you,
early match of the year contender.
thank you.
that was a fire match, bro.
It was.
And it's not because of the moves or anything like that. I think that's the beautiful thing about it. I think it's because of the story that was told in the match. You know what I mean? It was beautiful to watch the match and know the story behind it and what it was leading to. Because I even told you, as soon as AJ came out, you could see on his face, bro. Like he had some conversations before coming out to the ring, and you knew he was gonna retire. You knew the way the match was going to end, but how we got to it is what, in my mind, made the match. It's what made the match and why I'm holding it in such high regard.
It was easily match of the night. And looking back on it, am I crazy to say that it makes more sense for AJ to not tap and pass out than John?
Why? Because he's more of a pit bull or a dog? I'm
Because
confused because John never gives up. So how
it
can
make but that's the point. And ultimately for John, that was the point ultimately that John wanted to make, was that this was finally him giving up. But it wasn't him giving up on, it was him giving up his wrestling career. Obviously, a lot of hindsight is 2020, but with Gunther with this career killer moniker now, I have a feeling that this is going to be how Gunther quite literally kills careers. But back to with AJ, I don't it was with AJ passing out, and I told you this while we were watching. I was like, yeah, you don't have him tap. And you were like, oh, because you know, there was a couple times it looked like he was gonna tap. And I'm like, no, you don't have him tap.
he's gonna tap? He's gonna tap.
And even with what it made, or the cinema of it, was what Michael Cole said as AJ passed out. And it was and I don't know if you caught it, but what he said was is AJ Styles' career fades to black. Or I may be leaving a few cute words out of there, but that was essentially the message he was trying to as he was passing out.
Like we've talked about for the last few weeks, I don't think he's really gonna retire. I think he's done in WWE. But
Quite
I
literally.
think, yeah, eventually he is going to retire this year. But, I think the symbolism of him at the end of the match where he's getting ready to take the gloves off and put the gloves in the middle of the ring, that's the universal symbol. Obviously for him it's his gloves, for others it's their boots, what have you. But it's the universal symbol for the end of a wrestler's career. He gets ready to put him on the ground and then he puts it back on his hands and does his pose. So to me, that it may not have been, a telltale sign of like, a, there's more to this story. But at the same time, that's why I took it as like, I know most wrestlers put their gear right in the center of that ring when they're officially done. With AJ putting those gloves back on, I'm like, okay, I think what we talked about him going to another promotion to officially finish out his career is what's going to end up happening. I don't think that this is the last match of AJ Styles.
You know, I would
Yeah,
love to see him go back. Don't
MJF.
get me wrong. I would love to see him go back and just have a last run in TNA and ride it out on that too, but I would
That's
love to
why I
see him
really
pop up.
he he may not have a full, like you say, he may not have like a full on TNA run. I think what's more likely to happen is kind of he experiments and goes to other promotions and works those, and then when he's about ready and he's coming to his last matches, then he goes to TNA and then he closes it, because I don't see why he would spend the entire year unless he just wants to do that. But there's more potential, like you just laid out, for him to just do whatever until he's ready, and then he can just end his career there. Or it may be a bit of a cop out, but if he wanted to come back to WWE, I'm sure he could do that too. Technically, it would be a cop out because obviously we've watched a retirement match, but stranger things have happened. He
I
could
was gonna
come back
say,
and have another match if
we know better to never say never.
yeah, bro. So, but do you want to talk about Raw? Because I think that was about it for Rumble. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we had like I said, we had the McIntyre Sammy match.
But yeah, McIntyre and Sammy. See, y'all seen how quick I
Honestly,
was to go past
this is
that. Yep.
this is the outcome that you get from that match. It's like we just pretty much almost forgot about it. Like, it was I
Yes,
don't know if
it
Sammy
was
was
forgettable.
legitimately hurt.
I almost forgot it was on the card.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
And
It's
that's
like,
not but that's not being and that's not me trying to be an asshole towards Drew and Sammy because I love both of those performers and the match itself was a good match, but we talked about it when we were watching it. This is the same match that we've watched how many times now? 10, 11? It's the same match. And at that moment in time, we did not expect Sammy to win. And what we expected was what happened. So it's just like
Sammy didn't win.
I didn't get my
Yeah.
hopes up to see I didn't have my hopes up to see Sammy win. I expected a solid match, which is what we got. I didn't expect them to pull out moves that they've haven't done before. There was no special stipulation, so it wasn't like a last man standing or a first blood or an ambulance, none of that. So there was nothing extra. So that's why it was forgettable. I feel like if you add a stipulation to it, maybe you make it a little more something because of the hit, because of them too. You know what I'm saying? They fought so many times that it's like you kind of
You
need
have
a
to
stipulation in there.
Yeah, you gotta do something a little different, is what they're
Yeah,
saying. What pretty
yeah.
much So yeah, a stipulation would have probably done that match wonders. Like you said, it was a solid match, but just kind of forgettable because ultimately, as we've seen in the Rumble, and I said this when it happened, Drew screwed Cody, and Cody, was eliminated. And what did I say as soon as that happened? I'm like, oh, so that means we're getting at least Cody Drew for Mania. How Jacob fits into
Yeah,
that,
and
I'm not
probably
sure.
Jacob.
You're right, and probably Jacob. I'm not positive if they're gonna drag all three of it out that long, but which is kind of, if
And
you
then
think
part of me
about this,
feels bad for Sammy, bro, because it's kind of tough. It's like you just wasted the entire you just wasted that entire tournament because I guess it's inconsequential because it was only what, a week. So I guess you can't even really call it a tournament, right? But the whole
no, it was 2
Orton,
weeks.
Miz, Trick,
It
and
was
to have the Fatal Four. Oh, okay, it was two.
Yeah, because
Okay,
you
well,
had the
even I mean,
matches to get the
it
four.
was.
You had the match to get the four, and then you had the fatal four way. And
Mhm,
I honestly think
yeah,
it was
and it's kind of
It was
like.
the most weirdly played out tournament I've ever seen because I'm pretty sure it was like 2 or 3 weeks before the Saturday night main event is when they had the matches to determine the four, and they just had they were just going back and forth. Like, what kind of tournament is this? I thought a tournament, like the whole point of a tournament
Yeah,
is to.
it literally ended. I think it ended 2 weeks before, and then they had a week of promos or whatever. Because remember, Trick was had that whole backstage segment with DP, Damian Priest, and they was like, "Oh, I'm free next week. All right, I'll be here to show you something in the ring." I'm like, okay, because that's where that lapse in the week. That's what you're thinking of. Because the week before that, that's
Yeah,
where they had the finalists. The finals was solidified. So yeah, it's basically 3 weeks. Yeah, they were all rivaling with each other. But back to Sammy specifically, it's like, dude, like I feel so bad. What is it, 2 or 3 WrestleManias ago? This man is at WrestleMania fighting Johnny Knoxville, bro.
bro, that's more like four.
Like, yeah, he I and then I guess if you want to say he was redeemed by winning the tag championships with KO, but it's like, nah, not even really, because to be honest with you, the only thing that would redeem him from that, from going from a gimmick match with Johnny Knoxville, is winning a major championship on a big stage.
And it's
He's
like,
just never gonna. I don't think he's ever gonna get that moment.
and this is the terrible part about it is because it's like it's like you always have him so close. And don't get me wrong, you always have those guys who are always so close to winning the top championship and don't regularly do it. But at least for most of those guys, at least they have one ring. They give it to them at least
Hmm.
one. And it's like with Sammy, it's like when, because now it's like, it's not Mania. I mean, I guess we talked about it last week. They could, if they want, steer this whole thing into a fatal four way. But,
But does he
obviously,
win that?
Huh?
Does he really truly does he really does if you does he win that if they do make it a fatal four? Because on paper it just even like the way it's set up right now, I don't even think he wins that realistically. If
I,
you somehow
I,
get him into
but
the fatal four way,
that's the problem with it. But ultimately, that would fit right into his ultimate. They bow, pretty much bow him as the ultimate underdog. So, what way to actually cash in on the ultimate underdog thing that you bow him as to have him win a fatal four way where you have the world or the universal title, where you have one of your top guys in
nobody
Cody
gives him
Rhodes.
a chance.
But
Nobody gives him a
from
chance.
there, it's do you add does WWE have the confidence with all said guys because what they believe Jacob could be. So it's like, do you really have faith in WWE to pull the trigger to give him that win?
No, bro, I don't. I don't. I'm sorry.
That would
You
be the
you
ultimate
haven't given
question.
me no reason to have a seed of faith like that. No. No. I
But
will never have full faith in WWE to have competence enough to do that. The balls to do that. The
but
cojones. One thing too I want to say about Sammy real quick, and I wanted to just tag it on. It's kind of tough when it comes to like, we talked about his moment and how, when, I wouldn't be mad. Now, a lot of people probably would be because we've been waiting for so long, but I wouldn't be mad if they gave it to him at a moment where, and he gets screwed again, because at least we get the moment. You had like, kind of like how Punk got cashed in on when he beat Gunther
mm,
finally and he
no,
had the world title and then he got it snatched away immediately. I wouldn't be mad if they did that with Sammy. And, would I be kind of hurt? Yes, because I'd be like, damn, well, I wish he would have got a run with it. But he did get his moment. He
and
did
you
get his
can't take
moment. So
away
it's
from him
like,
that he'd be a one-time
I
champion.
wouldn't be too hurt. Yeah. So it's like if you don't have enough confidence to like strap it to him like that, maybe that's a route you go. You have him win it and then somehow he gets screwed out of it or, somebody, I forgot who it was. This is years ago. No, matter of fact, I remember it. Cena and Batista. Cena and Batista, bro. Cena had a match at Elimination Chamber and Batista had some backdoor deal with Vince McMahon and fucking Cena wins the Elimination Chamber, retains the WWE Championship, went through hell. Then he's like, Vince comes out, he's like, oh, and Cena, you have another match. And who comes out there? Batista. And Batista just dominates Cena and walks out with the title.
I do
I'm
remember
not
that.
saying it has to be beat for beat the same thing. I'm not saying it has to be beat for beat the same thing, but I'm saying like there can be a way where it's written to have Sammy just get screwed out of something like that. But that's just something I wanted to throw out there. I wouldn't be mad at seeing that.
I think I kind of would be because I would want to see him have his run with it too, even if it's for until the next PLE. But
Yeah, give him a month, at least 30 days.
like that's pretty much
All right, let's
that's where
let's
I'll
go
lean.
ahead and chat it up on Raw.
Uh,
So, what was first on Raw? What was the
we
first
had Braun come out.
segment?
We had Braun come out, remember? And
Yeah, yeah.
it
Oh,
but before the promo, he came out fucking already hot. He flipped the announce table,
no, I did see that part. Yeah, he came out pissed.
and then
Yeah.
then yeah, he had the opening promo pretty much blaming Pierce. It was a setup by Pierce. And then you had Heyman take the mic and pretty much say he made the statement on how Pierce has to approve every visa that goes over to Saudi Arabia. So how does Pierce not know who the masked man is? And I'm like, easily, just didn't. He got his own visa and just
Yeah, I didn't need to present my visa. I'm good. I'm good in the hood. I'm good everywhere. Everybody know me.
But and then you had Pierce come out and pretty much he came out with security in front of him and everything and was talking about how pretty much it wasn't, how are you going to blame him? You're the one that picked the ball. Like you picked the ball. I didn't pick the ball out of, you know, the ball with the number in it. He was like, I didn't pick it for you. And as this was going on, he Braun then proceeded to get out the ring and like start walking up the ramp at the security guards, and then you had LA Knight show up from behind, lay out the other, came in with the chair and laid out the other members of the division. And you before we get to the rest of that, Pierce also said he he had brought up what Heyman said about like the visa, knowing who the masked man was. He was like, last time there was a masked man running around here, it was Austin Theory.
Yep. Yep.
And then that's when you kind of seen, Braun started to look at him,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I didn't want to skip that. So when I remembered, realized that I had skipped that, I wanted to bring it up right away because it goes into what you had said earlier about, you
Planting the
know,
seeds for
the
dissension.
the right, planting the seeds for the dissension. Are they gonna blame Theory? How are they gonna go about it?
And Seth isn't directly or I guess extractly involved, I guess is the word, because it's like WWE is making no mentions. They're not trying to really tie him to it other than the stomp. The only thing that correlates him to the whole thing is the stomp. So if they weren't doing the stomp, I don't think people would be saying, "Oh, Seth is behind it," right? I think the whole thing is the stomp. If they're gonna continue, so because they're doing that, Seth has to be behind it, right? You can't be stealing my move, because now it's like if he comes back and he has nothing to do with it, okay, now y'all are just using my move. Now I got a problem with that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
right.
he's gonna have to be involved in that storyline somehow. Whether it's like you can't just be using my move. So that's what I'm saying. Seth has to be behind it. It's just how are we going to get there, and is he ready to go? Is now because they did it at Rumble and they're starting to do it now, it leads me to believe that he will probably be ready for Mania. And I don't know if you, and I know for a fact actually that you've seen it, but I don't know if our audience has seen it. But Seth was on, it was like he was on ESPN First Take like the day of Rumble or like the day before. He was talking about, they were doing a segment about the Super Bowl. And then Ryan Clark like accidentally misworded something. Like he was like, oh, how are you feeling about coming back and participating in the Royal Rumble? And Seth, like, professionally, of course, is going to walk that back. And obviously he didn't participate in the Rumble, but he walked it back like, yeah, I'm not participating. If Ryan Clark is accidentally saying that, I don't think, there's never smoke without fire. Is it's like he may have not been cleared to participate in the Rumble, but he's probably pretty close to being fully cleared to compete. So, and that's why I think the timing is suspicious, to say the least.
Yeah. Now the question with it is who is this masked man? It's like I said, I don't believe it's Theory.
Yeah.
I think
Nah.
you're gonna get a Theory turn when ultimately Seth. I think the way you play this out, I mean, I really guess, and this was a question I had, and I had asked, I talked to you before we had started recording. Or no, I think we were on the phone actually. Seth, this is obviously Seth is bringing a faction back with him, right? You kind of have to, correct? So, how many members of said faction are you going to have?
And are they new, or some of them new members or returning members, or guys that are already in place? Because Seth is the architect, the visionary, right? He's probably the puppet master from afar, like, oh, okay, these guys are already interacting with these guys. Let me see if I can get this guy to trust this guy whole time. They work for me.
Right. And it's I already put the theory out there on how I think Theory is like Trojan horse, Trojan horse style doing this right now. So I do think you ultimately, if you only have three members and it's going to be Seth, because if you have Theory turn, you have
It'll be
three
Seth
members
Theory,
for the Vision, because that leaves the Vision with.
right?
So then going off of that logic, I would then assume that it's going to be three members for Seth as well.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
I
whoever the
ultimately
mystery
don't
man
think,
is, like you said, Theory and Seth himself.
right, we got who the three is, but who is the mystery man is now the question.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And where I was going with this is I think they're going to plant, like, in obviously they already started. to plant the seed about Theory not really being loyal to the vision. I think, obviously, like you said, where there's smoke, there's fire. Pierce didn't say that for no reason. But so we had Gunther come out, obviously to AJ's music. The crowd got lit, thought AJ was really going to be there. And as I even told you, and
Trolling. He's
I'm like, it's going to
trolling.
be Gunther. And he comes out there,
Yeah.
gets just as loud of a boo as he did the night after he came out, night
He was talking
after.
trash about John.
Yeah, he was talking trash about John. Pretty much he coined himself for the first time the career killer.
Career killer.
We knew it was coming because Michael Cole, would always say,
And we
would
and we
always
are
say it.
we tapped into the internet. We saw it last week online.
But yeah,
How
and
they
we saw
filed
the
for the
fact that they had put a trademark in for it.
so we knew it was coming. And so that's another thing on top of like, it's that AJ match where it was like, oh, man, yeah, he's definitely gonna lose
But eventually we had Dragon Lee come out. Obviously, Dragon Lee just had the tag team titles with AJ
with
Styles
AJ.
not that long ago, trying to come out and defend AJ's honor. And what I was getting to before everything is it led to us getting a hell of a shot. And for the fans that didn't see it, AJ Lee or Dragon Lee, I'm sorry, got some offense in, but obviously it led to, you obviously knew Gunther was going to get the upper hand at some point. He put a sleeper hold on the Dragon Lee onto the ground, or on the ground on the outside of the ring. Had people, people in security come down to try to get him off Dragon Lee, got him off. Gunther went into the
That boy
ring.
was slumped outside the rope, stiff as a board, bruh.
Literally when picking Dragon Lee up, he pulled him up by the piece of it, the long piece on his mask, and put him in a sleeper, over the rope. I I told you this when I was like, that is, I don't know if you heard me. I was like, that is a hell of a shot, and it was great. I liked it. I don't know, I hope this is just a one off and this isn't anything leading to
No,
any
it's
like, but
him pulling double duty at the Rumble. Like again, bro, they're trying to make him the ultimate heel,
you
bro,
thought
the
he was actually
ultimate
gonna win.
guy. Yeah, when I saw him again,
You were like that.
now this is like, bro, I'm not gonna lie to you. If they would have had him, I said this to you during the actual live broadcast. I'm like, if you think about how they're building him, you couldn't have overlooked him winning the match because it's like, do you understand how big of a night in WWE history that would have been? Not
I
only
told
do
you
you
probably would have
end
been the greatest.
the career, yeah, not only would you have ended the career of AJ Styles, but also win your first Rumble same night. Like, and the heat from that would have been even more crazy. Like, bro, people would have been pissed, but happy at the same time.
Yeah, right. But yeah, him pulling that double duty really shows you what they're positioning him for. The man's
Yes.
going full final boss mode. And we're not talking about the
Yeah.
bald fraud.
He's going beyond that. I think Gunther is going to be put at a level that we've never seen. I think he will actually be a one of one. When we look back in 10 to 15 years from now, we'll look back at his career and be like, damn, there was nobody like him. There was nobody booked like him. There was nobody built long term like him. There's just, as long as WWE continues to stay consistent and do what they've been doing and not fumble it, he will go down as one of the greats of all time. He will.
Oh no, he definitely will.
But what was after that? I think
That
it
led
was,
right into the promo.
what was it, the promo? Okay. So yeah,
You
fire
see my tribal
the
chief?
promo, obviously.
First of all, I have to acknowledge my tribal chief today. Yeah.
See,
Nah, I'm torn. I don't know. Like I don't. It's because it's like we know Roman's not gonna be a full time champion. I don't want him to win.
is CM Punk a full-time champion? I mean, he's there. Yes, he is there. Yeah.
I don't
But is he
consider a full.
really a full-time champion?
I don't get. He's as full time champion as you can be. Yeah, he may not be competing or defending it every night, but UWE's not gonna do that.
I'm not
It's
asking
not
him to
like
defend it every night. Yeah, I know. But here's the thing when it comes to that. and we'll get back to the actual promo itself. It's like this is not a dig at Phil. This is not a dig at the way they're booking it now. But it's like you look at SmackDown during the era of even when, and I'll even take when Punk was he was coming from ECW. He had won his world title. He was on SmackDown feuding with Triple H, Jeff Hardy, Undertaker, all these guys. The world champion was on SmackDown every week. He was having a match in the main event every week for the most part. Whoever the world champion was, whether it
Okay,
was
I'm gonna play
Batista,
devil's advocate. When's
Undertaker,
the last week
who
you haven't seen CM Punk?
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that right now. I'm just
No,
saying, bro,
you said
like,
is he really a full-time champion? Okay, when's the last week you haven't seen
yeah,
CM
I
Punk?
mean, like, he's
When's
not
the
really.
last week you haven't seen CM Punk?
Probably like 3 weeks ago. Probably like three
No,
weeks ago. It's been like a month. It's been like a month. Yes.
that man's been on.
Yes.
You want to know how I know he's been on? What's
It was
he's been on
the
TV
the
every week.
last time I didn't see him,
You want to
he's
know how
been
I
on
know he's
TV
been
every
on
week they've
TV
been
every
on
week?
tour.
It's because they were just overseas.
That's what I'm saying. Every week they've been on tour, he's been there. And that started about a month ago.
I started more than a
The
month
last
ago.
That's what I'm saying. When they first so what, well, a month ago when they started changing
One
the schedule for Raw and that
Yeah, it was
SmackDown,
probably
like
beginning
I
of the
think
month. Yeah,
the week
coming right out the holidays, I guess.
is
Yeah,
about a month ago.
but
I
even
think
before
he
then, he
missed
was showing up. The last
yeah,
time
he's been
I
showing.
remember.
I'm not trying to say he don't show up, bro. But I'm just saying he's not the depth. Like when I think of actual champion who's there every week, like I mean they're there every week. It don't mean they wrestle every week, but they're there every week, bro. Like I'm not saying Punk had like he hasn't been there, but I don't necessarily. Cody Rhodes, is he Cody Rhodes? Cody Rhodes is there every week. He had matches every week, essentially promos every week. There's weeks that Punk skips. There has been weeks he just skips and he's just not there.
There were
It
weeks
doesn't
that
really happen with Cody.
Cody skipped too. Not maybe not like because you will have a 2 week. I'm not saying this much as like when he's champion because obviously since he's become champion, he showed up a lot more. But you will have 2 week stretches where you don't have a CM Punk show up. So I get what
Hmm.
I get, so yeah, yeah, in that aspect, it's like, no, he's not a full-time champion, but that also goes back to like, that's how they book their champions now.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
Cody is
Yep.
like at a last of a dying breed, really. Within Drew will show up every week. It's kind
Hmm.
of with Punk at the age that he's at, and he's gonna be getting more and more opportunities in movies and stuff like that. He's gonna have his
I don't want to make it seem like I expect that from him. I'm not saying
right.
that. I'm just
It's
saying
more
that
so.
that's not.
It's more so. It's not that we expected from him. It's just the wrestling we came up in. Our idea of a full time champion is different.
Yes.
But
Yes.
for what
Yes.
what it is today, he is
He is a full
what would
time
be a full.
champion, essentially. Yes. Yes. Yep.
But when we grew up, we was worldwide, yes, but it wasn't the global powerhouse that it is now. So the opportunities back then, the wrestlers had to be there every week to get paid. You know what I'm saying? Like they didn't have opportunities with the outside of the company as prevalent as it is today. The promo, the best, dare I say, the best promo, back and forth promo, probably within. It's been a while. Probably, I'd say at least. When is the last true good like back and forth promo where you were like, damn, like both of them cooked
It's
to
kind
the
of hard to
level
say, bro, because I think I would say that some of the promos that Cena had during his last run were pretty decent. I mean, with other people in the ring, obviously, some of the ones he had with Punk were good. It's kind of I can't really say that they were to this level though. Even still,
that's what
it's like yeah, they were
that
really
I'm
good,
talking
but were they
about,
to this
like
level?
a promo to this level. Like when is the last time you could think of a back and forth promo to of this level? Like and obviously, there may have been something, I may have
Part of that
missed
could be
something.
recency bias, but
No, bro.
I still really can't think of
Like
one.
the last time I can really think of two people really going back and forth on the mic would be like Punk, Punk and Cena back in like 2000. Like I said, I could obviously be blanking on something between then,
Yeah.
but that's like the last time I can really remember two guys going in there and both cooking to the level that they both cooked with tonight. Like I told you, I was on the edge of my seat the whole time because it's like
The whole time.
obviously, with CM Punk is going to cook. Obviously, Roman, and obviously you couldn't always say this about Roman, but now, you easily can say this now, now is obviously, with Roman, Roman's gonna cook. So it's like,
He don't need no mouthpiece no more. He a big dog.
so it was like I'm on the edge of my seat because I'm like, ooh, CM Punk, I'm like, CM Punk's going crazy. And I told you this on the phone. I had the thought in my head, like, okay, maybe this today they just let CM Punk go, and they kind of saved the whole back and forth, until a little bit down the line. But then Roman came in. And like I told you, when he hit up with the let's get something straight here, Phil, and went into all that, I was like, oh, or like when he was like, I shook your hand like a man. And what did we say? Zebras or some stupid shit. I was like, I'm like, chef's kiss. Like the man, that promo, easy A plus promo from both sides. Like I am that promo alone has got me fully invested in that storyline going to Mania. That one promo alone, I can't wait to see the
Yeah.
the road to
Just that.
WrestleMania.
That's it. That's
And
it.
that
I
boy
mean, that's
ate
all
it.
we
I,
need. And it was one of those situations where you seen them both in the ring. I don't know if you remember the WrestleMania build between Triple H and Undertaker, but they did a promo and it was different and it's never been done. It's never been done again, really, since then. When Triple H came out to the ring, and Undertaker was in the ring, Triple H comes out and Undertaker's basically like, I'm looking for my WrestleMania opponent. Triple H comes out to the ring and they just stare at each other for like 5 minutes, and they look at the WrestleMania logo, and then they stare at each other again, and you knew immediately what it meant. And that's the gravity that Punk and Roman had. Yes, words were spoken, but they had that type of gravity to where even if words weren't spoken and they both did the same thing that Triple H and Undertaker did years ago, it would have had the same type of effect because of that gravity, the magnitude of just those two in the ring. You already knew what it was. And it was that heavy. You could have cut that tension with a knife. So it was that, like you said, A plus all the way around.
yeah, it was man. Like I said, I had it pop up on my feed multiple times throughout the day today, and I watched it every time it popped up. I
Yep.
had to. Like it was that good. I hope the storyline for the Universal title is just as good.
Yeah, yeah. Like we talked about it. So, what if we had to lock in our two main events? We know obviously Roman Punk. What's the other one? What do we think for the Universal title? Do we lock in on triple threat, Jacob, Drew, Cody? Do we lock in on Drew, Cody 101? Or do we lock in on the Fatal Four Way and have Sammy, Jacob, Drew, Cody?
Right now, I'm leaning triple threat because I think they want to at least put Jacob in a very strong position. So right now, I'm still leaning triple threat. I don't think we're getting a fatal four way,
Okay.
but I do see a world where we do just get Cody Drew. But I personally think the move would be the triple threat.
So do I. I'm in agreement with you. I think you go the triple threat. I think that's the most money match. Cody and Drew, don't get me wrong, that's a draw. That's going to draw. No matter what, if Cody and Drew are involved, that's going to draw. But you throw Jacob in there, that just makes it even more enticing. And then by virtue, a triple threat, it becomes a no disqualification match. So you can do whatever you want to do. You throw a
Yeah, at that
stipulation in
point,
there without there really being a stipulation.
yeah, and at that point, you can really have any of the three walk out with the title.
Love y'all, man. Bro, thank y'all again for joining us. It's been Right in the Ropes, man. We'll see you guys next week. You know, bro, like, subscribe, comment. We love to hear from y'all, and we'll see you guys next time. Love, bro. We out.